Hello.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I am Keisha from, Put Your Phone Down podcast. I am not going to hold your time with this, ladies and gentlemen. I have a very special guest on the podcast who said yes to something, and I always appreciate people that say yes. So on June 3rd, I went to this awesome 5K, 10K Warrior Dash and changed my life completely. What inspired me is I knew of certain people who had it, and I wanted to make a difference. So the beginning of the day, I was almost going to talk myself out of it. I just bought some new gym shoes, and it was hot, and I just was going to talk myself out of it. When I got there, it changed me completely. The staff was so welcoming, you know, from the beginning to the end, it was just an overwhelming experience. I saw so many people running that I almost got discouraged. I was like, well, maybe I'll walk a little bit and then I'll just go home. But it was somebody that worked along Stephanie that was awesome. His name was James, and he walked with me through the entirety. And I was a walker. James shared his story about how he had ran a couple marathons and dashes before, but here I was just trucking it, breaking in some new gym shoes. And there was this bubbly lady that was at the very end of it, and she was just cheering everybody on. And this is when I found out it was the organizer of this wonderful dash. The name was Stephanie, or is Stephanie. And I met her sister, who was also cheering everyone on. Like I said, it was awesome. The turnout was so awesome that I never forgot about her. And I jumped in her inbox when I decided to take the podcast seriously. And again, she said yes. Stephanie has a story for you all, and I want you all to listen and get inspired about this and show up to the next 5 and 10K, but we'll get on that later. So, Stephanie, thank you so much for joining on this podcast.
Keisha, thank you so much for inviting me to join. I love what you're doing. I love your podcast. And seriously, thank you for helping to support the MS Warrior Dash. You were out there doing your thing. I mean, how could I not cheer you on?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for real. Now, Stephanie, I'm going to go ahead and let you share with the people your experience. We talked about briefly in the pre interview, how I just wanted you to let people know that it comes in different waves. Every MS story is not the same. And this will be my first time hearing your experience. So I'm going to let you have the floor and let people know your experience and what you decided to do to turn that around.
Thank you. And I totally agree. If you meet one person with MS, you have met one person with MS. It's just so different for everybody. And I think that's something really important to understand. Everybody who has this disease doesn't have the same. We're all a little bit different. And that's because it's attacking the central nervous system. And I mean, that controls your whole body. So, depending on where in the central nervous system you're being attacked, it makes your symptoms your different than anybody else's. So, my story started, actually, I'm going to start a little bit before I ended up with MS. And that was when I was weighing 215 pounds and I needed to find a way to lose weight. And I tried everything. And a friend turned me on to running. And I never looked back. I lost 80 pounds in the first year. And I just was hooked on running. It was the most amazing, life changing thing for me. And then years down the road, I had trained for an Ironman and I was just off of that, running no problem. Everything was fine. I was in the best health of my life. And I went out for a run, just a regular, maintenance run. And while I was running, my legs went numb. And I really thought that I had an injury. I thought that I had done something to my back or something like that. So I waited a couple days and ran again, and it happened again. And over the next couple weeks, it just kept happening more and more. Even when I wasn't running, I would wake up in the morning with numb legs and then numb hands. And It went up to my torso, even to my face. My body was going numb. I was having a hard time with speech and with balance. And I was scared. I really thought something was seriously wrong. And obviously, I was somewhat right. But so I started the circuit with doctors, right? And one doctor, see another one and another one. And nobody really had any answers for a long time. And then I went to a neurologist. Um, and he just kind of, looked at me and heard my symptoms and just kind of told me point blank, "Oh, you have MS." And I really didn't understand what that was. I hadn't really had much experience with it. I have an aunt who has MS. Um, and my mom had always kind of warned me, like, watch out for MS. Not that you can catch it, but those symptoms that people talk about having with MS. And I always kind of just blew it off. And now here I was sitting in a doctor's office and he was telling me, "Oh, you have this disease." And um, he told me at that point that I would never run again, that I couldn't ride a bike anymore, that I'd be walking with a cane soon, and just a lot of statistics that scared me so bad, especially after having been through so much with running, like learning how to run, losing all that weight, really becoming, enchanted by the running world, and being told that I had to put all that away. Um, and I went home. He sent me home with a stack full of information about different medications. And I don't know if you've ever read those informational things from medications, but they're all full of like the negatives of this could happen and this could happen. You could have this side effect. And I was just scared to death. And that turned into depression. Um, and the depression got so bad, I became suicidal. And I ended up going to a specialist in Chicago. And he told me, I mean, this was months later. At that point, he told me that that first doctor I talked to was just wrong, that that was old information. It was what people used to believe about MS, and that isn't the truth anymore. That, yeah, I might have balance issues and things might be difficult right now, but that doesn't mean I have to stop running. That it would be challenging, but I could still do it. And for me, that challenge was worth it. Like the idea of giving up running or any of the sports that I had taken part in, it just was so terrifying to me that I was willing to figure it out and risk it and learn how to run with the symptoms that I had. And so I did, and I definitely fell because my balance was so bad. And it took a long time to really learn how to deal with running with numb feet and legs, and how to manage my body temperature and just the whole what was happening to my body, being able to still be able to run with that. And then over the next year and a half, I started to learn more about other people out there who have MS, who are working full time, who don't have a cane, who are running marathons and doing all the stuff that I had been told that I would never be able to do. And it opened my eyes to the fact that, in that first year, I didn't have any of those positive influences. And going through that depression was just so ugly and dark. I felt like this was my purpose, that I needed to be that light in that darkness, especially for people who are newly diagnosed. And I get it. It's different for everybody. And I get it. Not everybody wants to run. But I think the important thought there is that it doesn't mean that you have to stop living your life. Living with MS is exactly that. It's living with MS. So you have to change some things. Some things are going to be more difficult than they used to be, but that doesn't mean you have to stop. And I don't know, that message of hope to me was something that I lacked in that first year that I want to spread to other people. So fast forward, and a few years later, I was still running marathons. In fact, I've run more marathons now than I had before I was diagnosed. And I think part of that is from that sense of hope and want to share this message. Um, so I ended up getting on board with the MS Run the US relay across America. So this relay, um, it's 19 runners, and each of us had a segment of around 120 to over 200 miles per person. And we'd have 5 to 7 days to get it done. And we had to raise $10,000 at minimum per person to help people with MS, and to help research as well, which was fantastic. And doing that was amazing and life changing. And part of that was the fundraising effort. And so we began this MS Warrior Dash 5K, 10K. This was myself and one of the other relay runners, Mike Knopp, who's an amazing guy. Seriously, if you look up nice guy in the dictionary, you'll find a picture of Mike. Um, so we wanted to do this as part of our fundraiser, and we did, and we all met our goals of $10,000 or more. And then the next year came, and that's this year. This past year, we did the MS Warrior Dash, for our second time. And this year we weren't relay runners, but the chance to continue to spread this message. And with the impact that we had seen in that first year, we saw so many people with MS come out, or people who knew other people with MS, and they wanted to spread that message of hope and understanding. And now, since we're not relay runners, our funds go 100% to people who have MS, who are in need of things like wheelchairs or a ramp in their home, or any kind of accommodation that would make living with MS more reasonable, easier to deal with than without. So the chance to be able to do that and impact people's lives directly, to me, is huge. It's just the biggest thing in the world. So we love doing this 5K, 10K. It is definitely a labor of love. There's a lot of work involved in putting it together, but so well worth it. Absolutely well worth it to help people that aren't uh, they don't have the advantage that I have. I'm able to run. There are lots of people who aren't able to run or walk with MS. So I need to pay it forward. That's my purpose.
This is an awesome story. It's like I'm listening to you, and like I said, I'm listening. I'm a first time listener hearing your story like the audience is. And I just want to thank you for not going the other route, still pushing. The turnout was excellent. I didn't even know that that was the second year. I remember just going online, trying to find something near me that I can be a part of. And I'm so glad that I chose that. And like you said, Mike was, like you said, awesome. He cheered everybody on. I remember him coming to me, shaking my hand, and he was the one that was kind of telling everybody the rules and what we're going to do. And so, like I said, the staff and your group was welcoming from the moment I got out to the moment I finished. And I'm telling you, I was so tired, but it almost reminds me of somebody who deals with MS on a daily basis. Who am I to complain because my feet were hurting? But as you explained, these are the things you were going through. And there you were out there cheering everybody on. Your sister was passing out the water. So it's just well worth it. Um, what more can we do as far as helping? Because one thing you touched on, and I absolutely love, is that 100% of it goes back. And this is what I kind of want to dive into a tad bit more. We talked about this briefly, how some people become skeptics when it's time to donate, because if you read the fine print, the proceeds don't always reach whoever you think it's supposed to reach to. So if we can color on that line a little bit about what's next with the 10K, 5K, I'm sorry, 5K, 10K, I'm saying it backwards, but it's still the same. What can we look forward to? And again, highlight the importance of it for the donations and where it's going, because I love that it is going to help people, like you said, with the wheelchairs and things of that nature.
Sure. So we are going to be doing it again next year, and we hope to continue to grow through the years. This coming year is going to be fantastic. We are already in the planning phases. We're putting together some stuff that we missed last year, like some of the basics, right? We need more porta-johns, we need more water, but then beyond that, extending it to a better premium and more donations are fantastic. We have this amazing raffle that happens before, during, and after the run itself. So anybody who signs up for the run is automatically going to be given a raffle ticket, and they can choose which kind of basket they want to put it in for which raffle item they want. And then at the end, everybody gets, we pull a raffle ticket and we can find out, what thing you won, kind of a door prize situation. Um, so if anybody does want to donate, we would love to have any of your door prizes. If you're a company and you want to have your company highlighted at our race, you can donate either in a door prize type situation, or if you'd like to donate funds to go directly towards MS Run the US, we would love to funnel your funds directly to them through our race. Um, Beyond that, if you want to come out and volunteer, we're always happy to have people out volunteering. Maybe you're not into running, but you want to support the cause. We could use you on the course, helping people get water or directions, things like that. And then, of course, there's coming out. If you just want to come out and you want to run with us, we would love to have you. We would love to host you coming out for our 5K, 10K, and just make a great day of it. So there's lots of ways that people can help. And yes, everything that we earn goes directly towards somebody who needs help with a wheelchair or something like that. And that's pretty rare. I mean, usually when you donate to something, a percentage of that is going to go towards overhead. We're volunteer based, so nobody earns anything. The MS Run the US is where all of this goes to, and MS Run the US has guaranteed us, since we are used to be relay runners, all of our funds are going to go directly towards people who need those things. It doesn't go towards research. It doesn't go towards overhead. It goes directly to people in need. And I don't know, that's the biggest deal in the world. If we can help out with even one person, getting them to be more comfortable living with MS, that's everything.
You're right. And now I wanted to talk a tad bit more about the obstacles you faced trying to organize this, trying to find a place for the people that might think about having something similar, a 5K, 3K. What does that look like when you want to have it? But I'm sure you heard a lot of no's before you got your yes. Can you walk me through what that looked like once you had the idea? What obstacles did you face and then you finally landed it? So do you mind going into that?
Sure. Yeah, it's a labor of love for sure. I would say that if you're interested in having a 5K or 10K, just be really sure that is what you want to do, just because it takes a whole lot of work. The benefit of seeing everybody cross that finish line is so totally worth it, and the benefit of seeing your funds that you raise go towards helping people is absolutely worth it. So if you're in for the work, then yes. But just be aware, some of the things that are obstacles in doing this is first finding a location. And yeah, we ran up against some obstacles of different locations not returning phone calls or not being interested in hosting with us, until we finally found a place that was fantastic. I mean, everybody loves our course. It's on a public bike trail, easily accessible, great parking. Um, I love where we ended up. I just love it. There's no better place to have this. And then the next part of that is, once you find a location, actually mapping out your course and making sure it's very accurate. Because as people come across that finish line, they're going to want to know, did I run 5K or 10K, or did you make them shy a little bit of distance or make them run too much? That getting it on the mark is super important. Um, Beyond that, there is permits that you have to get from the city or county in which you're running. They have to approve your course. They have to approve your date. They have to approve your purpose. They have to decide whether or not there should be additional police on hand. Um, just kind of all those city and county permits and permissions is kind of a big deal. Um, Getting people to donate, of course, for the cause. Getting volunteers is huge. And then marketing, getting the word out there so that people know what you're doing and when and how they can sign up. Again, blessed with Mike on this. He is our online guru who did our websites, who handled a whole lot of our online stuff. And I was more the person on the ground dealing with our courses and donations and things like that. So a team, I think, is probably the biggest deal. Make sure you've got a team on hand because it's hard to do.
Yeah, I mean, so for anybody who is thinking about going that route, listen to Stephanie. It's a lot of paperwork you have to go, but first, location, 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 and get yourself a team. And, just speaking of team, when you found out that you had MS and you said you were going through your own personal battles of processing it, dealing with depression, and at one point contemplating suicide, what did your team look like? Did you have certain people that you thought were going to be around and they stopped? Did you have people treat you differently? How was that? Can you share that with me as well?
Sure. So actually, for the first year, I was very, very private about it. I was very scared that I would have to quit my job or I would have to leave my job or that my job would fire me if they found out that I had this. I was afraid that people would treat me differently. I was afraid that I was going to be so different, you know, that I wouldn't even recognize myself. So my team really was my family. I got the mama bulldog, right? So she was all about making sure that I got in to see a specialist and that I was getting the good care that I needed. My sister was, right by my side. She wanted to be there when I went in for my first. My boyfriend was amazing, and all of this just being that incredible support. So my close family and a few of my friends that I let in that first year. Um, but I tell you what, once I got past that first year, and especially when I was going through that really heavy depression, because I didn't see any kind of a role model out there showing me that I could live with this and this is going to be manageable. Um, Once I kind of got past that, and I knew that my job, my purpose was to spread the message about what MS is and that it doesn't have to mean the end of life. Then I came out about it, right? I told my job, I told my friends, I joined Highlands Boston Marathon team to help spread the word about MS. And I went very public at that point. And it was very scary, but I'm glad. I'm really glad because I was so surprised how welcoming and loving people were about it. They knew that I was going to be okay. And so, I don't know, that supported then my people that I work with, my employer, coworkers, friends.
And I'm sure it just adds on to the quality of your life, because it's some people that are battling, like you said, in silence. And a lot of things that you touched on is real. Instead of thinking about, your health and sometimes your job, sometimes your mind does go to the job.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to mistreat me? Are they going to find a reason to cut my hours? These are the things that you think about. But the fact that you have so much love around you, I'm sure mentally that's what keeps you going too. Because if it was opposite, maybe you would have more bad days than good. So you're right. Your sister rocks. Absolutely. 100%. She was right there, right along with you. And I wanted to know, like, for you, what does a really bad day looks like? Can you remember one of your worst days? What does that look like for you?
Absolutely. In that first year, my really bad days were not being able to really walk, not being able to really talk, just because my mind was working, but I didn't have that ability to verbalize. It's like I would lose words or I wasn't able to pronounce words, um, not being able to feel my feet and legs, not being able to feel my hands, my nose. It's the weirdest thing. My nose goes numb. um, and then now it's been a few years. I'm on treatment, and thank God for treatment. The way things have changed, and that I think really changes the face of what MS is today versus 10 or 15 or 20 years ago. The treatment options that we have are just so amazing. And so now that I've been on treatment for years, I still have bad days, definitely. I still have days where um, I go numb or I start to get a little off balance. I definitely fall every now and then still. Um, when I'm running, sometimes things can get kind of out of control because my body temperature goes up so high. Um, and then I get migraines as well. So there are days where I end up in the emergency room because of a bad migraine or something like that. But I have less of those now and more of just dealing with regular day to day, like, okay, today I'm a little numb, or today I'm a little off balance, or something like that. And that, again, because of the medications. And then, like you said, because of my family and my care and support team, they make this manageable. People who have MS, you're not alone in this. I mean, it's not a disease for just one person. It affects the people all around you. And if they are willing to support you, it can make all the difference.
That was beautiful right there. So we're almost close to the 30-minute mark. And this is where I told you I wanted you to just, you know, promote your, where people can find you, which I know that you just did. Um, we mentioned, what is it, the MS, because I think you and I both was like, okay, let's not forget. It's the mswarrior.org. If I'm saying that correctly, mswarrior.org. So people can go there, and can they donate online as well?
Yes, you can go there and sign up for the 5K or the 10K, or make a direct donation. You can contact either of the race directors, myself or Mike, if you want to come out and volunteer, or if you'd like to make a product donation for our raffle items.
So, okay, we got ms.org, no, mswarrior.org,
Right.
where, listen, people, if you do not feel like coming out, this is a great and awesome time to put your money to use. This goes 100% right back into the organization. As Stephanie said, this goes into wheelchairs and ramps. This helps somebody that you know, even if someone is listening who has it, this goes to you. So just understand it's 100%. And that's what I absolutely love about it. Stephanie also mentioned about the raffles, which, I forgot to mention. Like she said, it was tables laid out where you saw people actually, you know, I guess they volunteered their stuff, or they gave it to you guys freely. How does that go?
That's exactly how it is. So I talk to different businesses, and they'll give us some kind of a raffle item. There's different gift cards and gift certificates. Some people gave us like a basket. The Albany's Candy Factory out here gave us a huge chocolate basket. So just whatever companies are wanting to be involved and give a donation, we'll represent them on the course and also with our raffle.
Absolutely. So if you guys have a business and you want to do this, this is awesome. It goes right back into the hands of everybody. It was a great layout. Like, I mean, I can't lie. I actually had my eye on the Albanese thing, and that was after me walking. I was like, yeah, that's going to be my lunch if I win that. Like, everything was laid out. I saw plants. I saw everything. So, basically, it goes right back. So if you guys want to donate, even I think she mentioned water, is there for you all. Like, and this has been one of the best decisions I could have made. The theme was orange, so I had my orange shirt on, and you really can't miss it. When you get there at the location, is orange everywhere. It's people that will greet you. It's people that will cheer you on. I am a witness. I thought that I was going to be walking by myself. I've seen so many people running and so many people enjoying themselves. And like I said at the beginning, I almost got discouraged. I was like, look, I'm not cut out for this. But the fact that I completed that, I could not stop talking about it, because it was really in the back of my mind. I did not intend on doing all of that. So it led me to meet you, your family, your staff, and I can't thank you enough. So, listeners, I want you all to check out mswarrior.org and look around a little bit and schedule your time to support Stephanie and her staff and the people who are dealing with MS. Just know you are not alone. You are not alone. You got this. And Stephanie, I cannot believe we at 30 minutes. It feels like we just got on here, but I really want to thank you for being a part of this movement. and letting everybody know they can persevere in whatever. So I'm absolutely proud of you and your walk. I would never be able to tell because before I see MS, I see a big smile. So thank you so much for being a part of this podcast.
Thank you, Keisha. Thank you again for including us in your podcast. And I can't wait to
Uh,
get one.
yes, absolutely. I'll be out there the next time. I'm going to at least do a little run, at least start off running, and then I'll stop. So thank you again.
Thank you, Keisha.
You're welcome. All right, you guys. Thank you for listening to Put Your Phone Down podcast, and we'll pick it up later. Thank you all.